Hello everyone, it's Awake to Christ here. Just a quick discussion today about the Nephilim and the book of Enoch. If you haven't read the book of Enoch, I certainly recommend it. It's a very interesting read. I mean, there's those that say it's completely irrelevant, it's heresy. There's some that say it should have been in the Bible. I'm certainly not making any judgment on that front, but I think it's definitely worth the read at least. It's interesting because it used to be accepted by the early Christian church. It was rejected in AD 364 by the Council of Laodicea. It has many parallels with the Bible itself, the scriptures, and it's certainly adds more information on what we have in the Bible as it is now. So please get your hands on a copy of the Book of Enoch. You can even read it online. So I want to talk about the Nephilim. Very interesting topic. There are some who say that there's no way that fallen angels could ever come into the women of earth. They say that it's almost disgusting and vile. You can't, and angels can't have sexual intercourse with human beings. If you look into what we have in the Bible itself, it certainly seems to run parallel with what we see there. So let me first look into what the Bible itself says about the Nephilim. Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. They were talking about the flood. When the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Now we know there's evidence for giants, and we know that there's been an effort to cover that up in the past. We know that that's certainly something that there's been evidence for. If you don't know anything about that, please don't judge me on face value. Have a proper look into it yourself. But there's been articles in newspapers in the past that disappeared. I think it was roughly around 100 years ago. They tended to start to disappear, even within that time. Discoveries that have been made across the world, mainly the New York Times Post, something like that, certainly reported those sort of findings. And as with everything we know these days, there's been a concerted effort to cover things up and keep information from us. So this is what I think may have happened with the Book of Enoch. There are certain people in positions of authority who tend to try and cover these things up, and the Book of Enoch has emerged. So we look into Numbers 13:33, and it also mentions the Nephilim there. It says, "And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Enoch, who come from the Nephilim. And we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." Genesis 6:1-22. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God, i.e. angelic beings, Benai Elohim, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as their wives as they chose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. We go to Jude 1, chapter 1, verse 6. "And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day." So it's clear that angels of some description, fallen angels, sinned in a very vile way. I mean, that's from the scriptures themselves. For those who say that it's an outright impossibility that this happened, I would beg to differ, because the Bible itself clearly says those things that I just read. So let's go to the Book of Enoch. This is only a small portion of what the book itself says, but let me just read this to you because this is quite interesting. "And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives among the children of men, and beget us children." I'm going to skip forward a little bit. "And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for themselves one, and they began to go into them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Now it's very interesting because firstly you've got there that it seems to show that they taught them some occult knowledge, some spiritual wickedness. And I often wonder where a lot of this knowledge has come from, and that certainly explains these things. And what's more, it explains that often people say, how could a God of love send a flood across the whole of the face of the earth, destroying mankind? Because that doesn't, on the surface, seem like a loving thing to do. But this to me, this explains the need for God to do that. Because God had to destroy this serpent seed, almost, this inhumane, non-human activity that was going on, that was destroying God's ultimate plan. And it even says in the scriptures that God regretted humankind in that sense. And that makes more sense to me than anything, that God had to destroy the earth with a flood because of the kind of activity that was going on here. And so we see there that the giants who were of this seed were literally consuming humankind, and they were a massive, massive threat to God's plan. It just makes sense to me that was the case. And in fact it is written. So then we go a bit further forward. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth. And on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits are proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble, and cause offences. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. So I've even heard it said before that this is what demons are. So you've got the fallen angels and you've got the demons, and the demons are around us. They are in a different realm to us. They're also referred to as jinn in Islam, and this is what demons are. They are the children, offspring of the fallen angels. So as I read earlier I think I read that part about they basically, anyway, it says that they drink blood. Where do you think the legends of vampires have come from? You see, everything makes sense. There is nothing new under the sun. It's certainly very interesting anyway, at the least, and I'd be interested to hear your opinion on the whole topic. And of course we've got the idea of that Christ said, as in the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man. So, if the days of Noah included the Nephilim, is that something that we're going to look out for? Is that something that could potentially be coming our way? Or is that something that's already happening? Is there already reptilian hybrids, if you want to call it that? Is there already a seed of the serpent? Is there already completely consumed and possessed people upon this earth? Are some of the elites already corrupted in that way? And I don't agree with David Icke, if you've ever heard of him. I don't agree with barely anything that David Icke says, but there are some things that seem to fall in line. Although he perverts the truth, I certainly think that there are some aspects of it. Please let me know your opinions on that. Some think it's heresy. Some think it's perfectly plausible. I just wonder why this book of Enoch was kept from us. I'm certainly glad we've got access to it now. There are some books that people say should have been in the Bible, and no, they shouldn't have been in the Bible, because some of them were written to discredit the message of Christ. But the book of Enoch was written, they reckon, probably about 200 BC, and is certainly a book to pay attention to. Get your hands on a copy if you can. Thanks very much, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.